the significance of the term secular. This is the title of today's editorial, which is published in the Hindu 19 Feb 2020, which is written by Rajiv Bhargava. So let's begin. The significance of the term secular. It enables focus on the religion-based discriminating and misrecognition. What value is added by the term secular to liberal democracies state that safeguard liberties of individual and political freedom of citizens? For some scholars, virtually nothing. Why? Because while secularism is against discriminations only on the basis of religion, a liberal democracy against all form of discriminations. The term liberal democracy subsumed secularism. Why bother with secularism then? Why not commit ourselves to the priorities of the liberal democracy? Argue for the sufficiency of Article 14, 16 and 19 of the Constitution. Discrimination and recognition. This view is inadequate if not wrong. The word secular is important. Those who claim the sufficiency of liberal democracy must think again. True, their claim has had some validity in Europe, but it is losing relevance there too. What in place like India, it is virtual non-starter. Why? Let us first get a handle on Europe's specificity. Secular state did not emerge in Western Europe in the immediate aftermath of the religious war. These wars were stopped by the establishment not of the secular but the confessional state, in which people were forced to embrace the religion of the king. Those who did not comply faced death of expulsion. Every European society from then on became religiously homogeneous. England became Anglican, Scandinavia Lutheran, France Catholic. Over time, some dissentient groups were tolerated but not without paying a price for their dissent. For example, although they were permitted to have their own church, it has to be hidden away in violence. Even the rich were forced to build chapels within the premises of their home. Dissenters lived under the threat of the persecution and daily harassment. The tolerance state of early modern Europe were a far cry from modern European liberal democratic state. Once other religions were eliminated or tamed, a struggle began against a politically meddlesome and socially oppressive church. The demand to separate church and state was supported by those who favored free markets, private property and personal liberties. The moment this separation was sufficiently achieved, it began to be taken for granted and slowly receded into the background. In this sense, secularism lost its political and social salience. In this religiously homogeneous societies, the fight for liberal state seemed sufficient. Centuries later, when the general ethos in Western Europe witnessed the further declining of Christianity, the term secular found itself linked to a humanist world view for which religion, whatever its private benefit, was potentially a public problem. While becoming increasingly less salient, it was etched in the bitter collective memory of these societies as the source of discord from which they had mercifully escaped. A religion already on the defensive faced greater devaluation and marginalization. No one wanted religion ground recognition. With this idea of separation of state and religion lost its normative value further. These liberal states where religion was no longer significant granted former equality to all citizens and called themselves liberal democratic. What is European had instituted a liberty loving equality caring state as soon as religious war erupted. What if there was not much of a time lag between religious war and the growth of the serious commitment to the value of liberty, equality, and fraternity? Had this been so meant for ending the religious persecution of the dissenters and preventing religious homogenization would have been immediate. How to else could a state live up to the ideal of liberty and equalities? Moreover, the dynamics of multi-religious societies is such that religion would not have lost salience then instead of getting rid of religious dissenters and minorities, a general consensus might have been sought to prevent their dominations by the majority religious community. Had multiple religious identities been part of the social climate, a commitment to equality would have compelled European states to give impartial public recognition to all religions. Such a state would be secular precisely in the sense that Indian conceived it, something with which to fight not just religious fanaticism and intra-religious operations, but also the domination of one religion by another. They would have been forced to call themselves not just liberal but also secular in the sense defended by Gandhi, Nehru and Ambedkar, where it designates impartial public recognition to all religions. My point then is that the greater the salience of the religion, of the depth of diversity in society, the larger the prospect intra and inter-religious dominations, and the more pressing the need for the state given its commitment to liberty, equality, and impartial recognitions to call itself secular. Also, if religion-related bigotry and denial of the recognition is present persistently, then it is hard to forget or ignore it. People potentially affected by them need to be repeatedly told that state is there for them. The function of the term secular is to do precisely that, to reassure anyone threatened by religious or religion based exclusion, discrimination, or misrecognition that the state is committed to preventing all this. To drop the word secular then undermine confidence in the impartial character of the state. Why use a specific term? The point can be made differently. Why lump together all form of discrimination and oppression under the same general term? If the term secular focused on one specific kind of dominations, why not to use it? Is not decluttering our world and helping us to focus on particular feature and important function of all concept? Why not call a flower red when you have a distinguishing word for it? What point would be served by simply calling it colored? To be sure, in some context this might be sufficient. For example, if our purpose is to differentiate it from all white flower, to use the term colored it as adequate, but not if one colored flower is to be distinguished from another. Likewise, secular help focus on institutionalized religious dominations to democrates it from other kind of domination. based on the class, gender, ethnicity, etc. Secularism implore us to resist it. In religiously homogeneous societies, particularly where the importance of religion has weakened, liberal democratic states tend to be relatively indifferent to the term secular. However, in religiously strong and diverse societies such as India, secular is indispensable. It can't disappear from public and constitutional discourse. It is surprising then that after a few years of exile, it has recently resurfaced in India. Here we cannot follow European habits but must embrace both liberal democracy and form of secularism. And that fight religious based misrecognitions. Indeed, even Europe is changing. After the migration of workers from farmer colonies, Europe's new religious diversities had brought religion-based recognitions to the fore. Therefore, in Europe, to demand for an impartial secular state will become louder. So this is the whole editorial which is written by Rajiv Bhargava. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you.